When it comes to building a website, there are a lot of platforms and a lot of tools available. So choosing the right website builder can be a very confusing process. It's a common question I get when I'm presenting to people, especially at conferences and things like that. People will ask me, what should I use to build my website? Or I'm using this platform. Am I on the right platform? And so in this episode, what I want to do is I want to review some of the major platforms out there. And I want to give you my thoughts and my experience working with them, because I've worked with quite a few of them over the years. And they all have their pros and they all have their cons. And it really comes down to what cons can you live with, and what pros really make your life easier, right? And so having said that, I do want to present with you at the end of this episode, and you got to listen to the very end. I am going to give you my preferred website builder and my preferred website builder for e-commerce, right? So if you're thinking about building a website and you're not exactly sure which platform to use, this is the episode for you, because I'm going to talk about WordPress, I'm going to talk about Wix, Squarespace, Webflow, Drupal, and all the different platforms that are available and out there. And I get it. People get very passionate about it. They build expertise around particular platforms, or they come at it from a different perspective. They come at it from a design perspective. They come at it from an SEO perspective, or maybe from a developer perspective. And so based on that, they've made decisions on their website platform. And at the end of the day, it may not have been the right decision, or it may have been the best decision that they ever made, right? So I'm going to give you a high-level overview of some of the top 10 platforms that I've ranked. This is my ranking. Nobody's ranked it. This is my ranking based on my experience. A high-level overview. Then I'm going to do a design and functionality comparison and give you my grades on them. Then I'm going to give you an SEO recommendation based on SEO requirements and things like that. And then I'm going to give you my recommendation. So to get the recommendation, you're going to have to listen to the very end. So let's get started on this. Welcome to the latest episode of Corner Your Market. I'm your host, Silas Timide. In this podcast, I talk about all things digital marketing, from website design and development to SEO and PPC, as well as paid advertising, email marketing, social media, and anything in between. If you're a small business owner, a marketing manager in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. So tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. You'll gain some practical insights, new strategies, tactics, and tools that will help you grow your business. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com and select the podcast app of your choice. Then you can hit subscribe within those apps. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review in the app once you've listened to one of our episodes. There's a lot of website platforms, right? So let's do a high-level comparison of the 10 more common ones that are out there. So the number one common website builder right now is WordPress. Hands down, the most widely used platform, right? And I myself have been working on WordPress since 2007, so 17 years of WordPress experience. You'll probably catch my WordPress bias as we go along, and I'm going to try to not have a WordPress bias. But the pros of WordPress, obviously WordPress started out as a blogging platform, and then it eventually evolved into a full-scale, CMS. And one of the reasons why they were able to do that is because of the way that they allow plugins to come in and how the core is adaptable and things like that. So the pro of WordPress, it's relatively, I would say it's highly user-friendly. Maybe I'm biased. I've been on it for 17 years. It's highly customizable, extremely customizable. It's so customizable that it's almost a negative. I'm not going to say negative, almost a negative. The ecosystem that exists out there for plugins and themes and everything like that is just out of this world. It is rich. And then finding people that are proficient in WordPress is also easy. And from a business perspective, that could be really good because you could develop a WordPress website. And then if your developer leaves or you want to switch vendors, very easy to find somebody that can fill that gap. WordPress, in my own testing on Google search, hands down the best SEO platform. Hands down. I don't even know how to, I've done my own testing, right? I get this asked quite a bit. So from time to time, I'll set up my own test. What I'll do is I will search for a particular website, a particular business, and then I'll get the websites, the top 3. I'll look at the CMS. And then I do it for like 20, 30 terms. WordPress is always 1 or 2 or 3. It always ranks on the top 3. And then the other ones are variants, right? In some cases, this shows up. Some cases, that shows up. But the one that's always present is WordPress. Now, here's the cons. You're not going to like this one. Update and maintenance, right? You have to update it because it's vulnerable. WordPress being the most prolific CMS, there's a lot of users. There's also a lot of hackers. They're trying to get in. They're trying to install malicious code, SQL injections, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff. Because of that, you have to keep your WordPress site updated regularly. And what I mean by that is you need to update the website core. You need to update the plugins. You have to keep updated with PHP. You have to update the theme. It sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot. It's just that it could be 15, 20 minutes of your time or 30 minutes, depending on how big your website is, maybe an hour if you're doing WordPress, WooCommerce or things like that. It could be an hour, but you don't have to do it often. I would say do it 4 times a year, once a quarter. That's usually pretty sufficient to do, but you do need to stay on top of it. I have seen people not update it and lose their entire website. Yep, I've seen it. It happens, and the main reason is they didn't keep it updated. Okay, so that's the first one, WordPress. Second one is Shopify. Shopify is excellent for e-commerce. It's easy to set up, manage. It's mobile responsive. It's got secure hosting. It's really good. If you've got a store that you want to set up and you just want to, get going on it, Shopify is a great choice. Just look through the details. It's easy to use. A lot of things are pre-built in. They do have a ecosystem of people that build specific plugins and extensions. I forget what they call it, and things like that. So that is also available. In terms of their cons, I would say being e-commerce, their transaction fees for third-party payment gateways could add up. So pay attention to that detail. What are the transaction fees on your e-commerce? Because they're easy to set up, $45 a month and you got your store. But if you start doing $100,000 on your store, they could be taking $2,000 a month on the back end over there, so keep that in mind. There's also, in my opinion, coming from the WordPress world, I would say there's limited customization options. I'm not saying that it's not going to fulfill your needs, but it's limited. You might run into a situation where you can't do something on that site. That'll never happen in WordPress. You can always do it. Okay, the third one is Squarespace. I have mixed opinions on this one because I have literally held the hand of clients as they cried because they used Squarespace. I'm not joking. It was Easter. She was crying on the phone. Anyway. Okay, the pros of Squarespace is visually appealing templates, easy drag and drop features, built-in SEO tools, fairly limited though, and you can also do e-commerce capabilities. Designers love Squarespace. They enjoy Squarespace. They love working with it. I think it's because the designs, you could just make it really cool. And then the other thing about WordPress though is that you need a designer and a developer, meaning the website front-end designer, the creatives that don't really like to be hardcore in the system are not going to enjoy it because you do need to know a little bit of front-end design coding to get everything to work. Squarespace doesn't have that. Squarespace, you could be just a pure designer, graphic artist, masters of fine art. I'm not trying to make fun of you folks, but you guys have been in the news for racking up all your student debt. So I just wanted to kind of make fun of you guys there. But, visually appealing template, you could just go in and do it. Same thing with Wix, you could do it there as well. For some reason, designers love Squarespace. Every time I see a really pretty website and the client says they love the website, it's usually a Squarespace site. Again, con is limited flexibility. For advanced customization, there are some things that are just a pain in the neck to do, and that's why that client was crying. Higher pricing for e-commerce plans. I would really compare the price for Squarespace with maybe Shopify if you're doing e-commerce. Wix, similar to Squarespace, I would call it a cousin, maybe a redheaded stepchild. I don't know what those terms are. It has an intuitive drag and drop builder. They have a wide range of templates, mobile app for site management, very easy to use. I've worked in Wix. I think Wix is a fine platform. Again, limited control over code, potential performance issues with complex sites. If you've got complex booking engines, complex integrations with CRMs, complex web forms, if-then questions, now-then questions, things like that, it can be a pain in the neck. Joomla is WordPress cousin. I did Joomla sites maybe 10 years ago. I had a client on Joomla for a decade. Good platform, highly extensible. It's kind of like WordPress. I think if Joomla had maybe come out a year earlier than WordPress, I think the whole world would be on Joomla personally. They have they're very similar to WordPress in the way they operate. It's just different. I don't know why Joomla is not more popular. From an SEO standpoint, it seems to perform well as well, my experience. But it does have a steeper learning curve, probably because it hasn't really been developed as much. It does have the same drawback as WordPress with potential security vulnerabilities, so you do need to keep it updated, especially the third-party extensions and things like that. Similar to Drupal, I don't have direct experience with Drupal, but it is highly scalable. It has a robust content management system, strong security features. It just has a steep learning curve. You really need developers to get these things going and things like that. So it's not easy and intuitive to web designers. Magento, worked on it about 10 years ago, really briefly. It's a powerful e-commerce system, highly customizable, scalable for large catalogs, but the management and setup is complex. There's higher hosting requirements, expensive hosting, and things like that. One that has kind of fallen off lately is Weebly. I know I set up a Weebly site many years ago. Easy to use, drag and drop, similar to Squarespace, similar to Wix, same cons. HubSpot has their own marketing that they're offering, development tool. I'm not a fan of sites that integrate with CRMs or are built into CRMs. Websites are complex enough that if it's an extension to a CRM or to a patient management system, I don't know, man. I wouldn't do it. Limited customization options, higher pricing for advanced features. And then the last one, the 10th one that's kind of up and coming right now is Webflow. I've been hearing more and more about it. In fact, I have one good friend who decided to go with Webflow. I'm still a friend, but not a happy friend. But I'm glad they went with Webflow because I want to see what their experience is going to be like. But the people that use Webflow tend to be designers and they love it. It offers excellent design capabilities, code control, good SEO. It has good collaboration features and things like that, secure hosting. But it does have a steep learning curve. I tried to set up a site recently and I got a little frustrated with it. I didn't understand how some of these templates were working. And then also there's scalability issues. I mean, there's a reason why WordPress and Joomla and these have really, they have more features that allows you to scale the business. So that's Webflow, right? So that's a high level view of all of the platforms. So now from a design and functionality comparison, what I did is I compared these along some design parameters, right? So here are my design parameters. So I looked at the design capabilities, I looked at the visual editor, the code editing capabilities, responsive design, animations and interactions, blogging features, very important, e-commerce features, SEO optimization tools, scalability, performance, ease of use, customization, and third-party integration. So quite a few criteria there, right? So I evaluated, or at least attempted to evaluate to the best of my ability along those criterias. And I had some interesting things pop up, right? So based on those criterias, I'm going to say that Webflow would be a good solution because it excels in design. Visual editor is really strong. I would say for a design heavy site, if you are purely a branding play, the website is a purely branding play. You want to highlight your features of your products and your services, and it's a advanced brochure of a website, and it's very design heavy. You know, what I mean by design heavy is really high resolution images with very sophisticated animations with like 2 sentences that pop up, and then you click something and something really amazing happens, and then the next page comes and things like that. You know what I mean? Almost like a video game or like a interactive kind of element. If you're wanting to go along in that direction, I think Webflow is your tool. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the next one. For Wix, I would say if you are like a nonprofit and what you're trying to do is very basic, you're a hobby it's a hobby that you have that you're trying to turn into a business. You want to get started, you want to get going, or you're a nonprofit, limited budget, you don't want to spend too much time on your website. Wix, right? It's a great site, Wix. Squarespace, I would say because of its visually appealing template, drag and drop, providing some blogging features, limited e-commerce capabilities, moderate customization options, I would say early stage companies, you know, you're a solopreneur, you got to get this thing going. You know, you don't have time to spend on the website, you know, Squarespace. That's a good tool for you. Now, Shopify, if you're e-commerce, you got a store, you want to get that store going, e-commerce, Shopify, right? Now, WordPress is one of those things which I feel personally that it could be for anybody. Any of those people that I listed could use it and use it really well, right? It's got extensive design customization. It's got great plugins, excellent blogging, SEO. I personally have never run into a situation where I have not been able to create a website to the client's satisfaction on WordPress, hands down, right? So, but then it comes with those cons that I mentioned earlier, right? So WordPress works for everybody. Now, I also evaluated these. That was from a design and functionality perspective. Maybe I'm confusing you. Maybe I need to redo this episode and with charts and things like that. But so that's from a design perspective only and functionality perspective. Now, SEO is an important consideration as well, right? So looking at it from an SEO comparison perspective, right? I looked at Webflow, Wix, and all those places. So from an SEO perspective, what I looked at is customizable URLs, very important. All of them did that. Automatic sitemaps, right? Very important, you know. Metadata editing, they all do it. Mobile responsiveness, some are better than others. Image optimization, that's key. WordPress, hands down. Structured data, schema markups, some of these platforms are limited in those, not WordPress. Canonical URLs, some of them don't allow canonical URLs. That's where you install the rel equals CON code into the things to indicate that the canonical URL. Robots.txt editor, not all of them offer it. Accelerated mobile pages, AMP, although that's kind of falling by the wayside, but still not all of them offer it. SEO analytics, they offer it. SEO performance, they get offered, right? So now let's look at it strictly from an SEO perspective, right? I would say, based on the criteria that I just gave you, I don't think Webflow really gets you the SEO that you need, the tools that you need. Again, I'm going to talk to my friend in about 6 months how his Webflow site is doing and things like that. But it lacks automatic sitemaps, metadata editing, mobile responses is limited, structured data markup is not available, the canonical URLs is not available. So I would say from an SEO standpoint, Webflow does not meet at least my requirement. Wix and Squarespace, for small businesses, like the categories that I explained to you, they're decent. I would say minimal SEO, minimum, whatever that means. If you're not, like, a nonprofit may or may not be interested in SEO. If you're a hobby website, you may or may not be interested in SEO. So I think it's still, it's not a primary importance to you. Wix and Squarespace should work for you. Shopify does really good on SEO. I would say Shopify is definitely has all the features you need. The one thing, let's see here. Actually, nothing really. Shopify does it really well on SEO side. They have great optimization tools. They allow for structured data markup. They allow for canonical URLs. You can even edit the robots.txt editor and things like that. So I would say from an SEO standpoint for an e-commerce site, Shopify is definitely a good place to be. Now, which is the one platform, the ring that controls all the rings? I mean, I'm not Lord of the Rings guy, but I think that's what that saying is, right? The one ring to rule over all the rings. WordPress, man. I mean, like I said earlier, I used to think that Google loved WordPress 10, 12 years ago. I thought WordPress was a Google product. I thought WordPress was going to get bought out by Google just because of how well it did from an SEO standpoint. But I have never been on a WordPress site that I'm managing and think, wow, I wish I could do this for SEO. Why doesn't it do this? I've never had that situation. Whenever Google comes out with something and says you got to do this on your website to rank better, you can do it in WordPress right away. I mean, because some developer, coder somewhere comes up with a plugin. It's like capitalism, man. They develop a plugin, throw it into the marketplace, sell it, make money, fill a need right away, right? You don't have to wait for big box company to come up with the solution. So works hands down. Now, I didn't evaluate some of the other ones on my list, like Drupal and Magento and things like that, because honestly, the use case on those situations are limited. I mean, the audience is limited. A lot of the people I work with don't use that. So for my audience and for the people that I talk to, I don't come across that. But you could definitely go through and evaluate those as well. But when you're selecting a website builder, you're thinking about design and you're thinking about SEO. At least I am. You want to make it look good and have a good experience, and then you want it to show up on search engines, right? So what is my final grade? So hopefully you have been listening along, and you might have already caught my answer, right? So when it comes to balancing design, programming features, SEO, and even e-commerce, WordPress, hands down WordPress. And I will go head to head with anybody on any of the topics, on any of the points. If they show me a design and they say WordPress can't do this, believe me, I'll find a developer that'll make it work. So WordPress hands down, and it's affordable. The security feature, in my opinion, is minimal. Just update it, have a strategy, or pay somebody to do it. It's very low cost. But if you are a purely e-commerce only business, then Shopify. Don't mess with WordPress. You don't need to be going in that direction, right? If you are strictly an e-commerce business and all you do is sell widgets and you don't care about blogging, you don't care about anything else, it's just a store that you have, you're not too keen on branding. I have come across guys like that, people that are just Shopify heavy, or that's all they do is they just want to sell stuff. They sell t-shirts or they sell, I don't know, they sell widgets and trinkets and things like that. They don't need anything fancy schmancy and all that kind of stuff. And some of those features on WordPress might be overkill and things like that. So, but again, if you're concerned about margins and you turn into a pretty big e-commerce store, pay attention to the transaction fee that you're paying Shopify, because you might not be able to switch your e-commerce, your merchant, quickly or to a more affordable one, especially as your business scales. So that's the only caveat there would be that. So there you have it, guys. I gave you a high-level overview of some of the major web design platforms out there. And then I gave you a comparison on design and functionality. And then I also did a SEO comparison for you in terms of which platforms to choose. And then I wrapped it all up by giving you my endorsement and my recommendation on the platform that you can use. So with that, good luck choosing your system. If you've got any questions, send me an email, leave a comment. And with that, I say happy marketing to you.
If you're a small business owner, a marketer in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. You'll become better educated and informed when it comes to digital marketing. And if you implement the strategies, tactics, and tools I discuss in this podcast, your business will grow and prosper. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. You can also search for Corner Your Market in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast, and you can subscribe through those apps. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review. Finally, I would love to hear from you, so if you have any questions, feedback, or general comments about the topics I discuss, feel free to send me an email. I will be sure to share and discuss your feedback on the air if it will benefit our listening audience. You can write to me at connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Just put listener comment in the subject line. That email again is connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I look forward to being back next week. Until then, be good and do good.